you think you had 8 points in about 90 seconds there at the beginning of the fourth. What's that moment feel like there? Knowing that you've lost some guys, to injury during the game, and that was going to be a pretty pivotal stretch.
Yeah, just trying to go out there and execute. When we have guys go down, I don't think we need to have the mindset of uh, trying to make up for absences. It's more so just continue with our process. Whoever's out there, play Thunder basketball and be ready to make plays. And I feel like we did a good job of that coming out in the fourth and opened up a lead, and then we were able to kind of sustain it and build it from there.
To that point, seems like there's some guys in this league that feel like to dominate a game, they got to hold on to the ball for 22 seconds on the shot clock. How have you learned to dominate a game like you did today, by just doing playing your game the way that you were describing there and not trying to go outside of that?
Yeah. I feel like for some players that is how they dominate the game. I feel like especially for small guards or primarily on-ball scorers, that is kind of their style of play, and teams are necessarily kind of built around that. We have we have a few players who are really good with the ball in their hands. And, even as good as Shai is with the ball in his hands, he's still done an amazing job of learning how to play when the ball isn't in his hands. And it helps make everybody else better on the floor when they do have the ball, and everybody else is kind of doing the same and vice versa. So, as much as I've worked to improve my ability with the ball in my hands, I always try to work on my ability, when somebody else has it. And then, the defensive side is a whole nother thing. You never have the ball in defense. So, you got to figure out how to make plays and get stops and win games on that end too.
What impresses you the most when you see your teammates playing up? You guys have to go small in this matchup. They have the double big. What impresses you the most when you see guys like K. Rich?
Yeah, just never backing down. Understanding that, in a long NBA season, there's circumstances. A lot of them aren't pretty. Nobody chooses them. Injuries is one of them, but everybody deals with them. So you can't sit there and make an excuse of it. You just gotta win with the cards that you're given, if that makes sense. So huge shout out to, everybody that was on the floor in those small ball lineups. I know, none of them are waking up in the morning like, yeah, let me box out a 7-footer tonight. But, they went out there and did it. And, without that mindset, it's really hard to win a game.
Before the game, Mark mentioned Mobley and Allen, the value of spacing and your margin for error offensively is pretty low. You have to heat the floor space. Just for you, what are you reading out there as the big man trying to maintain that spacing throughout a game?
Yeah, just having an awareness of where their size is out on the floor and how I can kind of move them around and, put them somewhere on the floor that's advantageous for us. Whether it's moving without the ball or having the ball in my hands, just kind of having an awareness and not trying to, play over them the whole time. You can play through size or move size around, and I think we did a good job of that tonight. It's also great to see the ball go in, and I feel like we had a lot of guys tonight that, the jump shot was feeling good, and so.
Speaking of
Last one for Chet.
I wanted to ask you about Lou on both and
it was huge tonight.
just the shot making element, but also the effort that he puts on the guy with Mitchell.
Yeah, it's I feel like as players, I don't even know how to explain this, but the shots that he hit tonight are huge, and he's been known to do that in big games, and that's who he is as a player. That's who we know him as, and I think it's even more impressive because it's one thing for me to stand there in a drop or, kind of be playing and moving less as an interior defender, and he's putting his chest on people, chasing over screens. Sometimes he's chasing over 3 screens in a possession and then come down his faces, and it's like, now you got to make that shot, and you might have to play defense like that for 6 or 7 possessions and then come down and have the legs to make that shot. And I just think he's really impressive. We saw it tonight. Those shots went in, but that's who he is. That's who we know him as. It's nothing surprising to us, and I just want to make sure he gets his props because as somebody who doesn't have to do it, I know how hard it is.
Shit, before the game, we were talking to Mark, and just given the size that they have in the interior, he was saying just how critical spacing was going to be for the game on offense. What did you feel out there on the floor, just in terms of how connected you guys were offensively throughout the night to have such a prolific scoring night?
Yeah, whenever you play against like guys that are good around the rim, typically you have to move really well and space really well to create windows on the perimeter, just because they're so good on the interior. That's something we've learned just like over the years, like playing multiple big lineups on Dallas a few years ago in the playoffs. The Spurs play no big sometimes. When you have guys that are really good at protecting the rim, you have to be able to capitalize on the perimeter more often, just because they take the rim away. And that's just like a muscle that we built over the years, and playing really good teams. So yeah, we did a good job of that tonight. And all the work doing so has paid off.
Beginning of the fourth quarter, they had cut it down, I think, to 9 or 10 or something. What's your perspective on the bench there as you watch Chet score 8 points in 90 seconds, and that group out there changed the game completely?
Yeah, it was impressive. Obviously, we've had like 3 guys go down in the last 2 games. For guys just to step up and make plays, stay confident, and step into new roles. Like, no matter who goes down or who comes up, my role doesn't change. So for me, it's not much different. But for those guys, it changes a lot. And for them to excel at that is pretty impressive. And they've been doing that for the past couple of years now. That's probably why we're such a good team. But yeah, it's always impressive to see those guys step up and make big plays and ultimately get a W.
Sort of along those lines with Chet adapting to different roles, just what do you see out of him on a day-to-day process, or just how he handles himself that allows them to, adapt so well, you think?
He has God-given talent that affects the game at a high level. So his floor is really high, and then he works really hard. So his ceiling is also really high. And then whatever you need from him, he goes out there and he attacks it to your competitor, and takes advantage of every opportunity he gets. And that's why he'll be all-star this year. That's why he'll probably be all NBA defense, whatever it is. Yeah, really special player, special talent. And it's no coincidence when he's on the court, we're a good team and we win.
You hit on it last night, but now it's official that you are a starter. Can you expand on those comments from last night of fans, players, media voting you as a starter this year?
Yeah, let's say that for that. Yeah, it's an honor. I grew up watching those type of games. I grew up dreaming of being in those moments. I'm living my dream now. It's hard to describe sometimes, but to sum up, it's an honor. And I'm thankful for all the fans that voted me. My teammates that pass me the ball and let me do whatever I want out there. Coaches that call plays for me. Yeah, it's a team thing, even though it's an individual award.
What do you think about the format this year with Noel versus U.S.?
It should be very fun. The world side has some pretty impressive talents and kind of caught up to the USA side in terms of overall. Like I don't feel like when I was watching the game back in the day, I don't think you could have done this format just because the world didn't have this many all-stars. I think it's cool to see the game evolve globally, and we're here today, so it should be fun.
Shay, we've seen you go up against a lot of different defenses, just teams throwing a lot of different looks at you. But you talked about how you tried to simplify your decision making out there on the court to make it easier for you. Just what goes into that for you to kind of simplify your game so you have a night like tonight where you don't have a single turnover?
Yeah, a lot of reps, honestly speaking. I've kind of played this role for a very long time. I played it when we were a bad team. I played it when we were like up and coming to you, and now I played it when we were a good team. So I think I just had a lot of reps and had time to figure it out and just learn from the experiences. I think that above everything, I just like use my experiences that I've gone through in the past 7 years or so and just like attacked it and learn from it. If you anything in life, if you work at it, attack it, try to get better from it for 7 years, you'll probably get better at it.
Hey, anyone else?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
by third quarter, I asked the coach, you guys play really with the composer. The coach said you play like that even before you made it the playoff. As the leader of the team, how you feel you grew in that category, and also as a team, that's personal and as a team, to always keep composure in the last 2 years.
Yeah, we honestly speaking, I just feel like the anything that just happened, you can't really affect. Like if the team just went on the 10-0 run, they just went on a 10-0 run, and there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do to change that. The only thing you can do is change the future and change what's happening in the present. So that's what I try to focus on the basketball court, and I think my team has done a really good job of just taking that mentality as well. Like whatever happens, we try to fix it going forward, but we don't harp on it. We have next play mentality. That's the only way you. That's the only way you can, like rise to adversity. You can't harp on your failures, whether it's in like a small scale or a big scale. And we know that, so yeah, that's how we go about it.
Anyone else? Thanks, Chet.